Hey guys, Shawn Phillips here. Welcome to my August 23rd DVD update, where I talk about all the DVDs and Blu-rays I've gotten over the last 2 weeks or so. Like I always say, guys, if you enjoy these update videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up, leave me comments below, let me know what you thought about the titles I checked out in this update, any future titles that are coming up that you would like me to check out, and some of your recent films that you've checked out. Also, the first second of this opening, first second and a half, was me 2 months ago, before all the weight loss. I thought it was interesting just to put that in there. You can see it was like this, sort of. But the first one we're going to talk about is from Warner Brothers, and it's the Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore movie Blended, which was like the first movie that they've done together since 50 First Dates, which is one that I really loved, like Wedding Singer, 50 First Dates though. But to me, that's one of those movies that I cry to terribly. It's like one of those really bad cry movies. This one wasn't as amazing as some of the past movies that they've done, but I really like this. I watch all the Adam Sandler movies. They always kind of have mixed opinions, and some of them always are better than others. But I actually thought this was kind of funny. It was a little more serious, a little bit, than some of the ones like Grown Ups 2, which to me, Grown Ups 2 was all over the place. But I said it's blended, and it was basically about he goes on this blind date and meets Drew Barrymore's character, and they really don't get along, and they kind of have all these kind of problems with each other. And she ended up leaving something, so he ends up going back to her house the next day to bring it over. And one thing and another, they find out that their one boss, I think it was her boss, isn't going on this trip, and it's screwing everything up. So then they end up buying the trip to Africa, and they don't know that they've done it because they kind of do it against each other's backs because the one guy doing it was the boss. It was all this kind of stuff, but one way or another they end up in Africa, and then they both kind of get stuck together because the trip was for Drew Barrymore's friend who was going with Adam Sandler's boss to this trip originally, so they kind of have to go together and stay in the same rooms and kind of do everything together, and it's kind of like them sort of forced to be with one another, and kind of about the hijinks and the things that happen along the way on the tours of Africa, and kind of about them kind of starting to like each other more. Like I said, to me, I liked it. I liked Terry Crews in this, and he was singing this, always coming in singing songs like "We Are Blending." I don't know. I just found it to be a pretty funny movie. The guy, who was always known for those Red Stripe commercials, and he was in Grandma's Boy. He was in it. And I always liked that guy. I don't know. This is just, to me, is just a funny sort of movie that you can't take it too seriously. It has on here, though, some documentaries on them getting back together, some deleted scenes and a gag reel. Just a fun movie. If you like Adam Sandler, you like them together, I would check it out, because to me, I think the movies when they get together are always some of the best ones, besides, Billy Madison. The next one is a film which I'm in from Attack Entertainment, and it's Jersey Shore Massacre. It's out on Blu-ray and DVD. It's pretty cool that they have a slipcover on this as well. But this one comes out on Tuesday. I don't really review anything that I'm in too much, but I'm just going to basically tell you, though, it's about a group of these friends that are going to the Jersey Shore, for the weekend. They have this whole place picked out that they want to stay at, and they go there, and it ends up there's a big mix-up, and the place that they were going to stay right on the beach ends up getting given away to the wrong people, because Ron Jeremy, who's the tenant of this place, screws it all up. So then they end up going and staying at one of their cousins, the one's uncle's house, who was in jail, house arrest, and is one of his other houses. So they go stay at his house in the Pine Barrens, and when they're out there, it's kind of like somebody's out there killing them one by one. It's a fun slasher, though. It has some really cool gore effects in it. Of course, it has me in it. And also, one of the features on here is Fat Camp Massacre, because in the movie, the kids are all watching Fat Camp Massacre, this movie, and the whole segment, I think it's 11 minutes with me in it, as the star of that is in that. So that's pretty cool. I think you guys are going to really like that. You also can see me much heavier in that. I tell people I bulked up for the role for that. But I would definitely check this one out. Go and order this one on Amazon. And it's also playing in select theaters right now in L.A. I think there's a theater in L.A. and a theater in New York. So this applies for the next week, I think, until this coming Friday. The next one from Sony is The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and this is the 3D one that has the Blu-ray and the DVD, the digital copy. Now, what I mainly want to talk about this is it's got a lot of mixed opinions. And I remember too, with the other, with the original Spider-Man movies, the second one and the third one got a lot of mixed opinions as well. I really like the Tobey Maguire movies. The first one was my favorite. To me, though, I really like this one. I don't see why there is so much kind of mixed opinions about this movie. I kind of had a fun time with it. I really like Jamie Foxx in this movie as the one villain. He kind of starts out as this kind of guy who everyone sort of steps all over and kind of plays this sort of nerdy, kind of weird type. And he ends up in this accident, and he becomes one of the villains in the movie. And I really like, I think it was Electro, never right with the names of it. Yeah, Electro. But I really liked him as the villain. But it's basically though about the Spider-Man's character Peter Parker, and basically about the things that are continuing right afterwards. And his one friend that he hasn't seen his years came back. And he was the boss of where Peter Parker is working, and he has the same terrible condition that his father has. It's like sort of that's changing his appearance, and he's kind of falling apart, and he needs to have Spider-Man's blood to try and reverse the things. But it's kind of about like him sort of changing, and he's like the villain as well. And I don't know, I really liked this movie. I thought that it was a fun movie. Like I said, I really, really love Jamie Foxx in this. I don't see what all the kind of mixed things with it is. I thought it looked really cool on 3D as well. Hopefully they end up doing another one, because I know they kind of have all these like mixed things, like if they are and they aren't. But it has a whole bunch of stuff on here, deleted scenes, over 100 minutes of making of features and things like that. But I would check it out. Like I said, I don't see why there's so much mixed feelings about it. Like I said, though, I don't know too much about the comic books and things like that, so maybe things were changed, and that's what people don't like. The next one from Image is Cabin Fever, Patient Zero, which is the third Cabin Fever film, which I think, to me, I like this one better than the second. The second one is a really fun movie, but it's one of those movies where it was kind of disjointed, and things were kind of re-edited, and I think the producers came in and changed certain things, so it kind of has this weird vibe, the second movie, and plays very weird. This one really plays well. I think this company is making another sequel, and someone was saying that they're going to actually be remaking the first one, this group that made this one as well. But this is a group of these kids that go to this Caribbean island for a bachelor party, and there are a bunch of these friends, and the island that they've gone to. In the beginning of the movie, you saw that Shawn Astin is in this, is kind of like taken prisoner as like the patient zero of this outbreak, because these group of these people take him from his cabin where everyone's all sick, with the disease from the first movie. He ends up getting quarantined, and things happen there, and they end up on the island where Shawn Astin's character is quarantined, and when they go to this island, they end up swimming in the water, one of the characters, and they kind of start rotting away like in the movie, and they kind of have to try and figure out what to do and find somebody, and then all they see on this island is this big kind of building, which is where Shawn Astin's character is held, which is like the research facility. I like this one. I thought it was a super gory movie, really pretty cool gore effects. I like this. I just thought that if you like the first Cabin Fever, I thought this to me is like almost like a better follow-up, I would say. Like I said, I like the second one. I really love Ty West, but I know he doesn't like that second one very much at all, because they took it out of his hands and made a lot of changes to it. So hopefully one day we see a director's cut or something of the second one. The next one from Anchor Bay is Fed Up, which is a really good documentary, especially since I'm doing like all the weight loss things and things like that. It was actually an interesting one. Katie Couric produced this one and narrates it, and it's kind of about showing all these different kids that are kind of overweight and trying to lose weight, and showing how things that you think are good to eat really aren't, and talking about schools and kind of about what they have there, and having the sodas in the school and trying to change the school lunches, and even if they have healthy options, they still have the crappy stuff, so the kids are always eating the crappy. To me, I could really relate to a lot of this too, just remembering as a kid, when you saw like all they had was all those candies and those cakes and all that kind of stuff, and I don't know, I could really relate to all this stuff, and especially now when I'm looking at the calories and everything and seeing how bad certain things are. But I think if people who want to lose weight and things like that and are kind of interested in this would really like this. The next one from Trauma is this. I have the one from 88 Films as well. But this is the Trauma edition of Bloodsucking Freaks. I love this movie. It's a very weird, twisted, gory movie. about this guy who is putting on this show where he kind of is kidnapping women and taking them into this place and doing all these torturous things and crazy things and putting on like a show where people come to see it and to see people really die. But everyone who goes to see it thinks it's just some, elaborate fake thing. Literally, they know that, what's happening to these people that he's kidnapped is real. It's just a really twisted, weird movie. It has some new interviews on here with Eli Roth and Chris Jericho talking about it. The old the old interview with Eli Roth as well, and a new intro with Lloyd Kaufman. The next one, which I was really excited about, is the Toxic Avenger Blu-ray, which is finally out on Blu-ray. They did a really good job cleaning this one up. I thought that it really looks good. And this has on here, the new transfer, a brand new intro on here, commentary with some of the cast, some new interviews with the cast, new video from Marc Torgel, Melvin from the film. But this is a movie about this kind of guy who works at a health club, and he's kind of the geeky guy there that everyone picks on. And, one day when he gets picked on the worst and something happens to him, he ends up jumping out of the window and falling into a vat of toxic waste that's parked outside. And then he becomes a Toxic Avenger. He's kind of like a vigilante, and he's going around and killing all the bad people and things like that throughout the city. This is one movie, though, that I've always really loved. I always followed all the trauma films for years. The next film is another film. This one, me and Brendan, Wet Movie 1, directed a segment in this, and it's called Dysmorphia, and it's an anthology horror film, and there's a commentary on here with us as well for our segment. This is just a fun anthology movie, and the stuff with me and Brendan is a thing that we filmed with us locking each other in the bathroom as a dare, and, trying to survive with this little plate of food. I think you guys are going to like this. If you like, me and Brendan's videos, definitely check this one out. You can order this one on Amazon as well. Just a fun anthology horror film. The next one from Epic Pictures. This one, I was really surprised with how this was a really cool one, because looking at the cover, you might think it was one of those kind of movies that was just sort of like a regular old creature feature one, just sort of like the typical kind of thing. But really, this movie had the vibe of one of those kind of like 70s kind of movies, like a 70s vibe movie. With a pretty cool effects, and I know they made it for very low budget. They made it in Serbia. Kristen Klob stars in it, who did a really good job in this. But it's called Killer Mermaid. I think it also has the name of Nymph in other countries, I'm pretty sure. And it's about these friends that have gone to Serbia. Like I believe that they were going there to see one of their friends on vacation, and when they're there, they end up going on a boat to this one island to tour. They just want to see this old kind of abandoned place where the Nazis were. So when they get there, they end up finding themselves trapped. Someone's popped their boat. They're stuck there. And there's this, woman down in this well, that which is the Killer Mermaid. And it's, there's somebody on this island that is going to not let them leave and is kind of after them. I really love this movie. Like I said, it kind of reminded me of things like Castle Freak a little bit. I don't know why I kept thinking of that a little bit, and I also thought of that movie Dagon. There's not too many movies, though. Even they were talking about this in the features as well, that are about, like, mermaids. I think there was, like, a short on one of those George Romero movies, those compilation things that he put out, like Dead Tales or something like that. Like I said, this is one that I would highly recommend. I think you guys are going to really like this. Like I said, I was really surprised with how cool this was. He did another movie, too, the director, before this, which I need to watch. I think Ken Foree is in it. I can't remember the name of it, but if you guys saw that, let me know. But like I said, that one is one I would really recommend. And the next one, I have never seen any of the past seasons ones of this, but it's AMC's The Walking Dead, the complete 4th season. So I can't really talk too much about it. It was a little bit, because, since I haven't seen it, I kind of thought certain characters were on it. I'm like, wait a minute, they're not on. I guess they're not on it anymore. Like I said, I've been behind. With me, sometimes it's really hard to watch too many shows. I get so behind with things, but from what I was watching of this, I will say though, the gore on this is absolutely amazing. Like because there was Greg Nicotero working on it. He actually directed some of the episodes in this as well. I don't know if he directed a lot of the past ones, but I know he did a couple on here because KMB, does the effects of these. But, it's the people who are, in this season, it's they're at the jail kind of hiding out. I need to go back and actually watch through these, though, because it seemed pretty cool from what I was seeing. Like I said, though, I don't know too much about this, but it has featurettes on the making of and commentaries and extended episodes as well. I don't know, though, if all this gore, if anyone knows, was actually in it when they air it to this extent, or if, for the Blu-rays and DVDs, they've kind of added to it or not. Let me know in the comments. Because I said I've never seen any of them before this, the couple ones that I watched. The next one from Lionsgate, this one I didn't hear much about, and it's called They Came Together, and it's with Paul Rudd and Amy Poehler, and they say it's kind of like a movie like Naked Gun or Airplane, and it is kind of that kind of slapstick humor. Like, I haven't seen anything like this with that kind of humor in a really long time. And it's basically about, like, a spoof on relationship, those romantic comedies. And it's them in the beginning talking to their friends, talking about how they, started dating and how they ended up getting together, and kind of talking about their problems that have happened, and how, she worked at this candy shop, and, this small independent candy shop, and Paul Rudd's character worked for this big corporation that wanted to close down her place. But there's weird stuff in it. There's stuff like characters falling out windows and falling down and crazy slapstick, which just sort of seemed kind of weird to me. Like, I don't know. I think it's an okay movie, but I didn't find myself absolutely loving it. But there's so many people in this. Like, Keenan is in this. Bill Hader is in this movie. Ed Helms is in this movie. So many different cameos in this movie. So that was pretty cool to see all these different people in it. It's also pretty cool if you want to see that kind of movie again. Like I said, like an airplane kind of movie. More of an airplane kind of vibe than something like epic movie or scary movie. More in that kind of humor. Kind of self-aware a little bit humor. But it has commentaries on here and a featurette. And then one thing on here that's kind of cool is a table read for the whole movie in San Francisco that they did. So it's like an hour and 40-minute long table read. So those kind of things are always kind of cool to see, the things that they've changed and stuff. The next one from Lionsgate is one that's only going to be available at Target, as far as I know, and it's called Deadbeat. And this is a show that was a series on Hulu, and I think they just renewed for a second season of this. The guy in this, just his look in this movie especially, kind of reminds me of, YouTube Shay Carl. But the guy is from, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and, Planet of the Apes, the first Planet of the Apes remake. I like this one, though. It's about... this is one of those ones that I watched and kept watching through them, like, in the same night, and really thought that it was a well-done show. It's always cool to find something that I didn't know anything about and that I really like, and really is something I would definitely recommend you guys just buy this. It's basically about this guy who has the ability to see ghosts, but these ghosts are kind of always bugging him, and he has to do what they want and, help them, succeed so they can go to heaven or the afterlife, because they're kind of stuck with these things that they haven't accomplished. Like one guy who had this tape that he had to find, and one person that never got to sleep with his girlfriend, and he has to be the vessel for that. And it's a really fun show about him having to help people and do all these things. It kind of had the vibe of like My Name is Earl, but like the first season when My Name is Earl was really cool, and it was all about the list. Then this later season that kind of took all these vibes and went different directions and wasn't as interesting. Brendan T. Jackson is also in this as well as his drug dealer friend. But definitely check this one out. Like I said, I believe it's only at Target you can get this. But I really thought this is fun. It also has, some featurettes on it as well. Like I said, I highly recommend it. It's a very fun show. The next one from Magnolia is a Jesse Eisenberg, Mia Wachowski film, The Double, which is Richard Ayoade, who is from tons of different British shows. And, he's also in The Watch. He directed this, and it's a very cool kind of movie that kind of reminds me of like something like Brazil and 12 Monkeys, and it's one of those kind of movies where it's like almost like an alternate universe that's kind of like ours, but very different, like an alternate reality, and they have all kinds of weird technology, and things are a little different, and Jesse Eisenberg's character works at this kind of place where it's about like keeping track on people. It's all about that stuff, but he really likes Mia Wachowski's character, but he has he's not very brave and kind of afraid of saying anything, but then one day at work, this guy starts working there, and he looks exactly like him. He has exactly the same face as Jesse Eisenberg. He doesn't understand what's going on, but yet everybody loves this guy. You know, he's like Mr. Perfect, but no one seems to notice that he looks the same, because Jesse Eisenberg's main, character, is somebody that no one ever pays attention to. So this guy comes, and they don't even know that he looks 100% identical. And it's pretty much about him coming there and then helping out Jesse Eisenberg's character, the regular him, and sort of helping him try and get the girl, but eventually he's leading to screwing everything up in his life and, messing everything up for him. I guess it's a very quirky, weird movie, and I love that. I love these kind of movies that have these weird settings to it. And there's a scene in this too with Jesse Eisenberg when he, involves an arm, which is, amazing acting from this. They even say on here, such a great performance, and it really is for him. I think one of my favorite performances of his. He was just really, really good, especially in that part. And they did a really good job too, doing the split screen, putting them both together. Like, they really perfected that now. Especially for an indie film, they did a really good job with that. The next one from Magnolia as well is Filth. And I just finished watching another kind of quirky, weird movie with kind of him seeing weird things and all kinds of crazy stuff. But it's about this cop in Scotland who is kind of like a corrupt kind of cop. He's he's kind of doing bad things and sort of screwing around and drinking and doing drugs and all kinds of stuff like that. And there's this, higher ranking position going on in the force, and he really wants to get it. It's kind of about him doing whatever it takes and kind of corrupting things and messing around with things, anything he can do to get this. But at the same time, he's trying to solve this case about this guy who was murdered, and it's about him going through all that, and then too trying to get his family back, because he's had all these kind of family issues in the past. But, he's sort of falling apart along the way through it. Very well-acted movie. The main guy is, from the new X-Men films. I really like this, though. I thought it was a pretty quirky, weird one. The next one from Lionsgate is the mini-series of Rosemary's Baby, which is basically 2 parts. Which is, to me, Rosemary's Baby was such a great Roman Polanski film, and just all around, Ruth Gordon as the neighbor. It's just one of those, kind of perfect, amazing movies that, really holds up, and you can watch it again and again, and even today it doesn't feel dated. This one has Zoe Saldana, I think, let me say that, how you say her name. She's been in tons of things in the new Guardians of the Galaxy films. But this is basically, it's set in Paris, and it's about, her as playing the Rosemary's character, and it's the same kind of idea, though, about weird things are happening, and I don't want to ruin too much about it, though, but, things going on with the neighbors and stuff like that, and her trying to adjust to life in Paris, and I thought it was not a bad movie or anything, but it's just kind of hard to look past, how great the original one was. But I think you guys should check it out. It's definitely worth renting and just seeing the differences and comparing it, because it's always kind of cool to see how they've changed it and updated things like that. The next one from MPI through the IFC line is Blood Glacier. This is one I've heard a lot about. A lot of people have talked about this one online, and it's about these group of these people who are out in the snow. It's kind of like in the snowy mountains area. They're doing some kind of exploring and digging for stuff. They don't explain too much about what they're doing. It kind of has like a Thing vibe to it. But they're out there, and the one day, the one character ends up going out to fix one of the things that kind of like the phone type things or something like that out there that gets screwed up. When he goes out there, he ends up seeing this glacier that's all red and dripping, and he ends up taking a sample of it, and he's out there with his dog, and basically something happens, and there's something with this glacier, and it's affecting the creatures out there, and they're kind of mutating and growing and changing around, and so it's kind of them stuck out there with these creatures out there, and these group of these other people coming out to explore the site as well. So it's about them kind of being attacked by these creatures and things out there. Like I said, though, it really has that kind of Thing vibe to it. But on here too, just so you know too, it automatically plays in the dubbed English one. So if you want to hear it, not the dub, the German one with the subtitles, you have to hit the thing for it. It's funny how it starts automatically like that, though. The next one, though, is one of my favorite ones in this update, and it's Zach Parker's film Proxy. And this has 2 different covers to it. The DVD has a different cover. It's I don't know. I guess for some reason they wanted, like Walmart or something didn't like this cover or something. I know sometimes they have to do that kind of stuff, but I really like this cover. And this movie to me, like I said, is one of those movies that like goes on my list of like favorite movies. Like, you know, in the top like 50. Like, I don't know why. There's just something about this one. I just really like these kind of movies. It's about this woman who is pregnant, and she's pretty much due in a week, and very soon, seeing her, you know, her appointment, and everything's checked out fine. When she's leaving, somebody, you know, in this red outfit hits her over the head, and then hits her in the stomach, and basically causes her to get a miscarriage. She ends up waking up in the, you know, in the hospital, and they're talking to her, and she's kind of a very sad woman who doesn't really have any friends, and they're asking her, you know, is there anyone we can call? And there really is no one. She's like, there's nobody. And she goes back home, and it's kind of like her all depressed and things like that. And she gets a pamphlet when she's in the hospital about this support group, about people who've lost children. So she starts going there, and she meets this one woman that she becomes friends with, and, you know, there's something very weird about what's going on there. And she's sort of following around this woman who says that she's lost her child, and she's changing her story all around about, like, he was in a car accident, and, you know, then later he was kidnapped, and she ends up seeing her messing around in like a JCPenney, like a kind of department store, acting like the kid's missing. And then she sees her go bring the kid in from the car. Some weird stuff going on with this woman. And then the whole movie ends up following around, you know, it takes a total turn. And I can't say too much about this movie without ruining anything, because it's one of those movies where it just totally makes a totally different, you know, 360 to a different direction. Kristen Kloeb is in this. Christina Kloeb is in this as well. Outstanding in this movie. Just a really weird, different, out there movie. Look the trailer up for this one. Like I said, you can't talk about too much about this without ruining things. But to me, this is absolutely, you know, is absolutely excellent. Like, one of the best things that I've watched in such a long time. It's been posted online, though, saying it's too long and stuff. Like, to me, I liked it so much I could watch another hour of it. Like, certain movies, like, it doesn't matter if they're a little bit longer. Like, if I'm interested in them, when this one really was like that, and has a good making of on here, as well as, you know, some featurettes and stuff. But check that one out. Look out the trailer to that one. The next one from Anchor Bay is Trust Me. This is another one that I really would recommend. I like this, especially because I'm an actor, and, you know, I like the kind of stuff that has to do with making movies and the whole business and that kind of stuff. And it's about you know, Greg Clark's character, who is this kind of agent, and he used to be a child actor, and now he's like an agent to child stars, and he's kind of having no luck with them. And, you know, the one day he ends up meeting this one girl who, you know, he sees is very talented and really wants to represent her, and then she meets him and agrees to it, and it's about him sort of trying to help her. And she ends up getting this huge audition for this huge kind of like Hunger Games type movie, or Twilight type movie, and things sort of start falling apart. There's all kinds of issues that are going on, and, you know, twists and all kinds of stuff. But a really fun movie about the making of business, but there's also some really dark stuff in this as well, like really dark areas of this. But it has so many people, you know, have cameos in this. William H. Macy, Sam Rockwell, Molly Shannon, Felicity Huffman. This is another one I would really check out. The next one from Intervision is Grindhouse Trailer Classics, which is a Grindhouse collection of all trailers, you know, from the 70s. It's got like Big Dollhouse, House of Whipcord, a whole bunch of different ones on here. Mainly British horror films from, you know, UK horror films from the 70s and 80s, and it's got like Wham Bam, Thank You Spaceman, all kinds of random stuff on there. I always love these kind of compilations of these, and also has, you know, talking about a 30-minute documentary on here talking to, you know, about the movies then and those kind of stuff. But this is a cool one if you like that, you know, compilation trailer disc. And the next one from Sepson Media is The Forbidden Girl. And this is one of those movies that was like not a great movie or anything like that, but I really liked it because it's such like a weird thing. It's like, it doesn't really, when you're watching it, it feels like something from the 70s. And it also feels like something where I don't know if they knew exactly when they were making this, exactly what they were doing or what they were making, because it's kind of like all these weird random things and these really weird characters and people that are like this character that like disappears and you see through him and it's weird stuff happening. But this guy is with his girlfriend and his dad's like this priest guy who wants him to be like a priest, and he's like, no more forbidden love, and he's like screaming at him. He does these weird voices like, we're forbidden. But you know, he's with his girlfriend in the graveyard. The girlfriend ends up getting taken away by this demon, and you don't know what happens to her. And later, the kid ends up going to like, I don't even know how he got there or why he's at this place, but he's like going there to be a teacher in this kind of castle type place for this weird slick back guy who's kind of like a William Dafoe's, like the 30th next best thing to William Dafoe. And when he's there, there's like this woman in this bed who's all like dried up and dead looking, like a vampire woman, and they don't even explain anything about it. And then there's like this girl who looks exactly like the girlfriend who's in the other room, who's locked away, and you know he has to teach her, but she doesn't remember the past. And it's such a deranged, weird movie. You have to see this thing to believe it. I absolutely loved it in that kind of weird, what the hell kind of way is this movie? What does any of this mean movie? That's what this The Forbidden Girl is. But I love those kind of things. I mean, some people might go over their head, like, but to me, it was amazing. The next one from Millennium is The Dead Within. And this is a zombie film about this couple. You know, this zombie outbreak happened, and this couple are kind of locked themselves away for months in this little cabin. They have all the doors boarded up, and you're always hearing things outside. And it's pretty much though like all set inside this house. And then like the husband is always going out trying to find supplies, but you know they start to find a little less and less stuff. And it's about like her kind of dealing with the depression and kind of being stuck in this cabin for all this time, and he doesn't want her to go out of the house because he doesn't want anything to happen to her. And you know that's pretty much what it is. It's about like the zombies and everything that's going on out there, and she's kind of seeing weird things. I thought this one though played out pretty well. It has kind of like a vibe, almost like a play, because like I said, it's all in this one place, and kind of they've had bad things happen to their pets and all this kind of stuff, and all their friends are dead and all that kind of stuff. It's an interesting thing though. The next one from Vertical Entertainment is Crawl or Die. And this one is about, like in the future, there's like no fertile women left, except there's like this one woman that they found that's fertile, and they need to take her to, I think it's like Earth 2 they called it. It was like another planet, I think that, yeah, Earth 2. But they didn't explain too much about how they got there. I think this is happening on Earth 2, I think. Because they're kind of down, some kind of creature outside, they end up going into these tunnels underground. But down there is this creature is after them. It's kind of about them crawling through these tunnels and trying to get away from this thing. It kind of has like a vibe of like an alien type thing underground. The thing is, though, I will say it was a little dark and a little bit hard to see. But it's a pretty interesting, though, sci-fi thing underground. The one woman is kind of like Tank Girl in it, and they kind of even call her Tank in it. I think it's worth checking out. The next one from Welgo USA is Baby Blues. And it's about this like composer who has basically created this song. Like he has no luck writing music. He had like one hit for this pop star years back, and he's really not writing anything good. And he's not really, the boss is really mad at him. And this one big pop star is going to be coming with their label, and she needs a new song. So he writes this thing, and it's pretty much like a death anthem that he writes. He wants to write a thing all about, you know, sadness and death and all that kind of stuff. And basically anyone who hears this song like gets into accidents and bad things happen. There's this doll in it that's like always pointing. I think it was supposed to be like either they filmed it in 3D and it never came out to America in 3D, or they were doing shots that like they thought maybe they would convert later to 3D or something like that. Because it just definitely seemed like a movie that was meant to be 3D at some point. Or otherwise, I don't know why they would have done that perspectives that they did of it. It was okay. But there's some of the effects on it kind of took away from it. So to me, when it comes to like ghostly horror movies and things like that, when you have like sort of cheesy effects in parts, it kind of takes away from it, and the vibe of it. The next one is a Steven Seagal film It's about him as a special ops soldier, and it's a good man, and he's with his his group out there, the special ops, getting after these terrorists, and something terrible happens, and there's a terrible accident, and all his men are killed, and it's him kind of hiding out, working years later at this like maintenance man, this kind of crumbling down hotel, apartment complex, and then something happens, and he ends up kind of having to kind of go back into his old past, and people from his past are coming after him, like the one guy that was involved in the whole thing. It was okay. Like with Steven Seagal movies, they're always kind of hit or miss with me. I didn't absolutely love this one. And lately, Steven Seagal is kind of doing this accent, like this kind of like I don't know what you kind of a Cajun sort of accent. Like he's been doing it a lot lately. Like he didn't used to do that, but it's kind of come on, like become his new thing on here. But it has a behind the scenes and a trailer gallery on this. The next one, I like the concept behind this one. It was made by, through the Boys and Girls Club. And they actually had people from, kids from the Boys and Girls Club working on the crew of this movie. And I liked that. I thought it was pretty cool because, I remember taking, like, programs as a kid, film programs and all that kind of stuff. And it was pretty cool that the whole crew was based off of that. And they got, like, Mario Lopez and Rainn Wilson to do cameos in this movie. It's about a group of these kids, though, that are kind of like, sort of about them like playing around in the stream area, trying to work their way to get to the wide world of sports. I will say, though, when they, some of the stuff, though, wasn't like perfect with having the 80s setting, because they were, it's supposed to be set in 81, but they do their best they could with it. Like I said, though, it's more of a movie, though, that I like the concept behind it about them. And it's a fun kind of thing about the kids on an adventure, and then there's they have to cut through these woods, though, because these kind of bullies are after them, and they're kind of hiding out to the woods. Like I said, it's a cool concept about the Boys and Girls Club, all working on this. The next one from Synapse Films is Worm, and this is like in the future, like no one has the ability to dream anymore. Dreams are kind of like all of a sudden one day dreams have disappeared, and this one guy who works in this building, sees that these commercials about these worms you put into your ears, and they kind of make you have dreams, which you have to pay for them. They're very expensive, and they kind of like a service that brings them by. It's basically just a worm you put in your ear, and but it's kind of about him, stealing his neighbor's one, because he got the crappy one and his neighbor got the better one. He switched the two. It's about this girl that he likes too, and it was okay. It was an interesting one, but I kind of lost interest in this one a little bit. The next one from E1 is William Shatner's Get a Life, and I like this one. This is him kind of talking about the fandom of Star Trek. And, what does it all mean? It's about him going to the big Star Trek convention in Vegas. I think it was shot in 2011. And it's kind of talking to the people who were there and, like, examining their lives and talking to their reasons behind it. And that's pretty much what it is him kind of trying to get to the reasonings and why people like Star Trek and why they obsess and come again and again to all the conventions and things like that. There was some kind of sad stuff about this, too. Like, at the end, I sort of cried a bit because I was talking about one of the people who you see in the documentary and, what happened and stuff. I like this one. I thought, though, it was an interesting look at it. I think it was shot for Epix, that TV channel. The next one is Closed Circuit Extreme, and this is kind of about these people who I couldn't follow too much of it, but they were putting these cameras in this guy's house to try and like expose something of him because they believe that the one sister went missing. But when they end up, going there to get the cameras, there's kind of like trapped in there with this guy, and he's this crazy killer. I didn't really get through this one very well. I didn't care much for this. The next one from Brain Damage Films is Hell's Caretaker. This is one that had a kind of a cool idea about people going to this cabin for friends. Friends going to a cabin, and there's like the caretaker of the place is kind of killing them. But the one thing about this one was the editing was so rough. Like, they would cut to things that I don't know why they cut to them the way they did. They would cut within shots and stuff, and it was like really weird, the cuts, like, and they were too quick. Like, there were some shots that were like only lasted maybe less than a second. And I'm like, why are they cutting so quickly to it? And why are they cutting to a thing where like the continuity of the cutting was so terrible, and I couldn't get past that. Like, I know technical specs and stuff don't always matter, but they take away from it because it was had good, you know, I think they had a good camera and stuff. There was just something about just the way that it was shot and everything. It was bugging me so bad. The last one is from Whacked Movies, and it's The Legend of the Hillbilly Butcher. And I like the cover on this one of this guy. It's this guy out in the woods, and he's kind of just killing people that are coming out there. But this is another one that had like a weird technical thing with it that was bugging me as well. They put this grindhouse effect over the whole movie, and like that's okay if it's like a good grindhouse effect, but it was like this kind of like a low-res grindhouse effect because they showed in the behind-the-scenes what it looked like before and how they shot it. Beautiful, amazing image, which they totally screwed up with this grindhouse effect, low-res, crappy-looking one that sort of made all the shots, as people say, looked like it was filmed with a potato, and it was kind of like that. Like the director even talks about it with this kind of like way you could tell people were probably yelling at him, like saying, "Why'd you do that?" And I'm with him. Why did he do that? I know he wanted it to seem like, you know, Last House on the Left and stuff, but the thing is, those movies now are cleaned up and look great. Like, those only look crappy if they were old prints and stuff. Like, I don't know. I would love to see a version of this without that. But anyway, though, guys, thanks again for watching and subscribing. And definitely check out Dysmorphia and Jersey Shore Massacre on Amazon. And I'll see you guys later.